KLP2000 right back at you with another video. Yes, yes, yes. Welcome back. Welcome back to another edition of Leslie Chambers Kaiju Reviews on behalf of Collect All Monsters. And I'm back again with another video. Not really a review per se, but more so of a ranking. You know, I've done rankings on my channel before. You know, where's my favorite top 10 X Plus figures or Rick exclusives, my top 10 favorite Godzilla movies, my top 10 favorite Godzilla incarnations, and this one is really no different. And you know, we're taking a break from Godzilla just a little bit and talk about arguably the second most famous monster or most popular monster behind him when it comes to Toho Studios, the one and the only queen of the monsters herself, Mothra. Yes, the goddess of Infant Island. Yes, yes, yes. And today in this video, I will be ranking my favorite Mothra figures, or at least my favorite adult Mothra figures. You know what I mean? From my least favorite to my most favorite. I got like maybe 7 of them, you know, 7 adult Mothras. And so that would be the topic of this video for today. And the reason why I wanted to do this video, because honestly, I wanted to do it last year, because last year of the year 2021, there were a lot of things that celebrated milestone birthdays or anniversaries when it came to certain kaiju properties or movies or whatever. Like, for example, Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah celebrated 30 years last year, right? GMK celebrated 20 years last year. Gamera 2, The Advent of Legion, celebrated 25 years last year. Godzilla vs. the Smog Monster celebrated 50 years. Gamera vs. Zigra celebrated 50 years. Gorgo celebrated 60 years. And Mothra, yes, Mothra, the queen of the monsters herself, was unleashed upon the world in 1961. So she celebrated 60 years last year. And I wanted to do something last year to honor that, you know what I mean? And quite frankly, I really didn't see a lot of people talk about Mothra, you know? 'Cause I know Mothra has kind of like a hit or miss reputation when it comes to the fans, you know? It just depends on who you talk to. For me, I love Mothra, even though I will say that I felt she was overexposed in a couple of films. But I'll say, by and large, her appearances in these films have been really great. And kind of like Godzilla, we see her go through, even though her character is pretty much a positive monster, we have never seen her be an evil monster, even when she's controlled, you know, and destroy all monsters, you know. But we never really seen her be overly malicious. We got teasers of it in a couple of films, but we never see her become a full-fledged bad guy. And I think it's one of the best things about Mothra, that she's really one of the few monsters that's always been pure, always been good, always been just a joyful monster, you know. We've seen her, you know, go through a lot of changes as far as like designs and stuff. But we've seen her go through a lot of characters, you know, where she's the goddess of Infant Island in her debut film, where she goes up against Godzilla in '64 or King Ghidorah in '64. Again, she's controlled and destroy all monsters. We see her come back in the Heisei period. We see her get her own spin-off series in the Heisei period. We see her become a guardian monster in the Millennium series. We see her come back in the MonsterVerse, you know. So Mothra has gone through a lot of characters, you know. When it comes to Godzilla, I would say her reputation, at least her relationship with Godzilla, is kind of on and off. There are times where there are allies, there are times where there are enemies, and they try to suggest there are love interests in the MonsterVerse, which I'm not going there. I'm sorry. Out of all the relationships, that's the one I'm not really too high up on, you know, the fact that they are suggested to be like love interests. I guess that's the Showa fan in me that prefer to see Mothra and Godzilla, you know, sometimes allies, sometimes enemies or frenemies or whatever you want to call it. But through it all, Mothra has had an awesome and rich history. And again, in this video, I will talk about, at least rank my adult Mothra figures that I have in my collection. Now, I do have a couple of the larva Mothras, so they will not be talked about in this video. Just the big, beautiful, awesome ones that we all love to celebrate. Yes, yes, yes. And again, I got like 7 of them. So without further ado, let's count them down right now. So let's go with spot number 7. Okay, folks, here we are with spot number 7, and we're talking about Mothra's appearance in the 1966 film Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster, also known as Ebirah, Heart of the Deep, also known as Godzilla, Ebirah, Mothra a big duel in the South Seas. And as you can see here, she's not the bigger size version or 25 centimeter version of Mothra. This is actually a Rick accessory that came with the X Plus 25 centimeter 1966 Godzilla figure, you know. And even though she's a small version of Mothra, it's still a highly detailed version of Mothra, but her size kind of make her last on this list, quite frankly. But at the same time, they did a great job with this version of Mothra. You know, it's really no different as far as like the design and color wise than the 64 Mothra. I think the 64 Mothra was reused in Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster. And as you can see here, the Mothra figure looks great here, and it has that little net at the bottom of Mothra here to signify what she did at the end of Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster. And this is one of those films where I felt like Mothra, she was utilized well. She wasn't too overexposed in the film. Like, we see her throughout the film, quite frankly, but mostly she's asleep. She only does something of note at the climax of the film, which is one of the reasons why when it comes to this film, I actually preferred the title when it was brought over here to America as Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster. Because if you go by the original title, like I said, Godzilla, Ebra, Mothra, Big Duel in the South Seas, that title kind of suggests that Godzilla, Mothra, and Ebra kind of like go at each other all at one time, and that's not how it was in the film. Quite frankly, after Godzilla dispatches Ebra and he leaves, that's when Mothra comes in. So honestly, we don't really see Mothra get it on with Ebra. Really, Godzilla's the only monster that gets it on with all of the monsters, quite frankly, because he was kind of really the focal point, you know what I mean? But to be honest, there's really no reason for Mothra to fight Ebra. You know, with Ebra being an underwater monster, Mothra can just easily fly in, attack the red bamboo base, even if Godzilla wasn't around, retrieve her people and go back, you know. But again, that's one of the reasons why I prefer the title of Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster, because when you go into this film and you see the title, and when you watch the film, you find out as a surprise, oh, Mothra's in this film, you know what I mean? And again, she had a really pivotal role in this film at the very, very end, but at the same time, she wasn't too overexposed, which I really do enjoy. But as far as like the figure, this is a cool mini figure of the 1966 version of Mothra, and that's why she belongs in this spot at number 7. The X Plus Rick Exclusive Edition or Rick Exclusive Accessory of the Mothra 1966 figure that came with the X Plus 25 centimeter Godzilla 1966. So now let's go with spot number 6. Okay, folks, here we are with spot number 6, and we go on with the grandmother of them all. Not granddaddy, but the grandmother of them all. The original version of Mothra, and here we have the X Plus 25 centimeter 1961 version of Mothra. And again, this is a really cool figure. But again, for design-wise, I'm not really a big fan of the original version of Mothra, even though she does look cool. But this is a cool figure. But again, when it comes to this list, she kind of falls towards the bottom half. You know what I mean? But make no mistake about it, this thing is really amazing. And what's so cool about this version of Mothra, again, this was her debut film. Because when you think about the first 2 movies involving Godzilla and Rodan, each film involving these 3 monsters are really different. You know what I mean? In this monster movie, the monster is not really the villain, unlike Rodan and Godzilla, right? She's actually a good monster. Again, going by what I talked about earlier with her being having a reputation of being a good monster and never really becoming a bad guy or an evil monster, you know? But this movie benefited from the fact that they had a human villain where Mothra can be the good guy in the story. You know what I mean? And it's one of the few monster movies where actually the monster survives in the end. You know what I mean? Kind of similar to Gorgo. Again, like I mentioned earlier, Gorgo celebrated 60 years last year. And Gorgo survives at the end of that movie too. So the stories, in a way, you know, speaking of Gorgo, the stories are kind of similar to each other. Both Mothra and Gorgo, when you really think about it, both stories involving maternal monsters or motherly monsters or female monsters coming to reclaim something that they very love. In Gorgo's case, it's her baby. In Mothra's case, it's the fairies, and they do their share of damage in their respective films. But at the end of the day, both monsters ended up surviving at the end, you know, based on, you know, human villains or whatever. But her character was really, really great, and it was a great start of things to come that we will see with Mothra throughout the years. But all that would not have happened without the iconic appearance in her debut film, Yes, Yes, Yes. And again, this is a great, 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 great figure. And that's why she deserves this spot at number 6. Yes, yes, yes. The X plus 25 centimeter Mothra 1961 Standard Edition, based on the iconic appearance in her iconic debut film, Mothra 1961. So now let's go with spot number 5. Okay, folks, here we are with spot number 5, and we go from the iconic version of Mothra, the first version of Mothra, to her latest appearance, or her latest version, and we're talking about the 2019 version of Mothra, and here we have the X Plus Standard Edition of the Death of Real Mothra 2019, and I know some Mothra peers out there are like, really? You put the MonsterVerse before the iconic original version? And again, this is about my love for the figures, or how I rank the figures in terms of their design of the figures, you know what I mean? And to me, I find the MonsterVerse version just a little bit better than the original version, at least this version of the Death for Real, because quite frankly, I have to be honest, I was never really a big fan of the MonsterVerse version of Mothra in the film, but this figure I like, and honestly, this is not how it was in the film, quite frankly. So in a way, I'm more of a fan of the actual figure versus the actual monster design in the film. But this is a cool death for real, and one of the best death for reals that X Plus has ever done, in my opinion. You know, and I wish we would have gotten this in the film, quite frankly, because again, I'm not really a big fan of that design of Mothra, with her body being so small and her wings being so massively big. I know that's kind of like the traditional design of Mothra. That's how it is, small body, big wings. But to me, it was just, her body was just too small and her wings were just too big. But for me, I am more of a fan of the Death for Real on how they did it here. But again, this wasn't how it was in the film, but this is about the figures. But again, I think her role in Godzilla King of Monsters 2019 was again, it was a nice pivotal role, and it wasn't her being too overexposed. She's part of the film. She pops in here and there, but I love the fact that she doesn't take up the majority of the film. The majority of the film is about Godzilla versus King Ghidorah. Rodan and Mothra are there as supporting characters, which I really, really enjoy, even though Rodan has a good showing of himself. The same thing with Mothra here, and it was cool to see them finally go at each other, you know, an aerial version of Mothra up against Rodan, and see them do an aerial battle, which is something that we never ever seen before prior to this film. So Mothra does have a pivotal role in this film, again, helping the humans find Godzilla after he gets wasted by the oxygen destroyer. You know, then she sacrifices her life to give him the extra boost of energy that he needs to defeat King Ghidorah. So she has a great, great role in this film. You know, not too overexposed, but it was done just right, in my opinion. But again, this design of Mothra is really, really cool. The Death for Real design of Mothra is really, really cool. And that's why she deserves a spot on this list at number 5. The X Plus Death for Real version of Mothra 2019, based on her appearance in Godzilla King of the Monsters 2019. So now let's go with spot number 4. Okay, folks, here we are with spot number 4, and yes, we're going to the Millennium series this time, talking about Mothra's appearance in my most favorite film from the Millennium series, Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah, Giant Monsters All Out Attack. And here we have the 25 centimeter Mothra that came with the 25 centimeter Favorite Sculptors line set of the GMK Baragon and the GMK Mothra. Again, this is such a cool version of Mothra. Figure-wise, man, I love this figure. Again, it's from the Favorite Sculptors line, and they were based, both Baragon and Mothra were based off of Monster Maker 28 kits. No different than the King Ghidorah from that film, as well as Godzilla. You know, the 30 centimeter 1968 Godzilla was a Monster Maker 28 kit, you know, whatever. This is one of the early releases of the Favorite Sculptors line, and it was a Rick exclusive. So only a few people had access to this set, which I find really, really disappointing, because I think a lot of people should have more access to this set. If it were up to me, I would have maybe had Baragon as like a standalone release, and maybe the Rick come with Mothra. Because I saw a lot of people, when they were talking about this set, a lot of people were really sleeping on Mothra. A lot of people were like, I'll take Baragon, but I may sell Mothra off, because again, Mothra has somewhat of a hit or miss reputation or relationship with the fans, at least with some fans. And I saw a lot of people really talk about if they were able to get their hands on this set, they were going to sell Mothra and just keep Baragon. But to me, even though this may be one of the weaker versions of Mothra in terms of what she does in the film, quite frankly, I think it's one of the better designs of Mothra, a more realistic design of Mothra, and she looks really, really good. As far as like her role in GMK, that's another story. Because again, we all know that the original film was going to have Godzilla take on Baragon, Anguirus, and Varan, but they took out Varan and Anguirus because they wanted to put in more name recognized, or at least more monsters that have more name recognition, excuse me. So that's why they put in Mothra and King Ghidorah. And when you look at the film, Mothra really is in the film because of her name only. She barely does anything of note. The only thing she does of note, kind of similar to what I talked about with the Mothra 2019 just now, the fact that she gives her life to Ghidorah, which makes him King Ghidorah, which gives him somewhat of a fighting chance against Godzilla, but at the end it really doesn't, quite frankly. So when you watch that film, yes, it's cool to see Mothra and King Ghidorah on the same side, which is something we've never seen before, going up against an angry, evil, unholy, demonic version of Godzilla. That visual is great, but in terms of her fighting abilities against Godzilla, she really had no chance. And again, once you see her in the film, it just really drives the point home even further that she was just there just for her name only and doesn't really do anything of note except for one thing, which is really disappointing. But that still does not stop the fact that GMK, in my opinion, is the best film from the Millennium series and one of the best films of all time. And again, it was cool to see Mothra come back in the Millennium series in its awesome design. So that's why she deserves on this list in spot number 4. The X Plus 25cm favorite sculptors line of the GMK Mothra that came with the GMK Baragon and GMK Mothra set. Yes, yes, yes. So now let's go with spot number 3. Okay, folks, we're getting down to the nitty-gritty here with spot number 3. I know a lot of y'all are probably surprised as crap right now because of this girl being in this spot and not being number 1. And of course, this is the X Plus 25cm 1964 version of Mothra from my most favorite Godzilla film of all time, Godzilla vs. the Thing, aka Mothra vs. Godzilla. And I know you're probably wondering, why is she not in spot number 1? And again, coming up with the top 3 is really hard, especially when it comes to rankings, quite frankly, because you have so many different favorites. And try to put one in this spot and one in this spot and then rearrange it when you really sit down and think about it and reassess some things is really, really hard. But again, this is all about the figures, the designs of the figures, and there are a couple more that I enjoy more than her. But don't get it twisted. Mothra from Mothra vs. Godzilla is my favorite version of Mothra character-wise. It's my favorite movie of Mothra. But again, when it comes to the design, there's a couple more that I favor more than her. But this is a great figure, you know, with the egg, you know, whatever. And when this thing was first announced, I want to say it came out in 2015. It was announced in 2015. I thought that maybe when they showcased this figure, they showcased this with the egg and everything, I thought the egg was going to be like the Rick exclusive. But actually, the egg came with basically every single figure, both standards and the Rick. Actually, the Rick version of this figure came with the 25cm version of the 64 Godzilla. One of the few only times that Godzilla himself has actually been a Rick accessory to a figure release. You know what I mean? And this is a great figure, from the mountainous base, the egg, you know, Mothra, you know, whatever. It looks really good. Now, ordinarily, Mothra will be suspended in midair by a pole. But as you can see here, I have her draped across the egg, you know, kind of signifying what happens in the film after she fights Godzilla and she loses her power and she's dying. And in her last moment, she drapes her lifeless body over the egg to protect it one final time. So I kind of got this idea from fellow Godzilla fan and YouTuber and cool friend of mine, Richard Eso, Mr. Fresh Founder himself. He actually displayed his Mothra like this one day, and I saw it, and I was like, you know what, that would be cool. So that's how I display my Mothra moving forward. You know, again, it's really cool to see this version of Mothra draped over the egg like this. But either way, whether you have it like this or you have it suspended up in midair, it's a really cool figure. Now, you already know Mothra vs. Godzilla is up there with me. Top film, love that film. But again, as I mentioned just now, I love Mothra's character in this film. I love her character. I think it's the best character of Mothra throughout the entirety of her career. I just love the fact that she's very, very brave in this film. You know, the fact that we come to know, or at least is revealed midway through the film, that she is dying. You know, she is dying. She's on her last days, but she agrees to go and fight Godzilla, you know, to save Japan and to protect her egg, you know. And that's really, really cool. The fact that she knows that she's dying, but she still agrees to go to fight Godzilla. You know, the fact that, you know, you have this monster and now she's going up against another monster where she knows she won't be able to win, but she fights him anyways. And that, to me, is a great, 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 great character trait. I know a lot of people really admire Mothra for that. I admire Mothra for that, for doing that, because I don't think a lot of people would have the guts to do that. Would you be willing to go up against a fight against somebody, but you knew you were going to lose, but you still would fight him anyway? A lot of people don't have that type of bravery like Mothra has. So that's one of the cool things about Mothra in this film that a lot of people don't really seem to talk about, but I'm going to talk about it. That's the one thing that I love about Mothra in this film, the fact that she's very, very brave, and she gives it her all, but unfortunately it's not enough against the King of the Monsters. But again, this is a great, 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 great figure, and maybe I gave you some ideas on how to display your Mothra 1964 if you have it. But again, this is a cool, 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 cool figure, and that's why she belongs in this spot number 3, unfortunately, because sacrifice had to be made, but still a cool figure nonetheless. The X Plus 25cm standard edition of Mothra 1964 for my most favorite film in the Godzilla film franchise, Godzilla vs. the Thing, aka Mothra vs. Godzilla. So now let's go with spot number 2. Okay, folks, here we are with spot number 2, and yes, this thing is so beautiful. Yes. The S Plus 25cm standard edition of Mothra 1992 from God Almighty. Godzilla vs. Mothra, aka Godzilla and Mothra: The Battle for Earth. Again, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not doing that. No different than Godzilla against Mechagodzilla. Nope. It's Godzilla X Mechagodzilla. And it's not Godzilla and Mothra Battle for Earth. It is Godzilla versus Mothra. And you know what? It's ironic that I would favor this Mothra over the 64, even though it's funny because Mothra vs. Godzilla is my most favorite Godzilla film of all time. Godzilla vs. Mothra is one of my most least favorite Godzilla films of all time, but yet Mothra is behind this version of Mothra in the ranking here. It's funny how that thing works out, right? But I actually love this version of Mothra. I love the more colorful, more dynamic look of Mothra. She looks really, really adorable, kind of plushy, you know what I mean? Which I've seen people actually criticize. I've seen some folks really don't like this overly adorable look of Mothra, you know what I mean? But I do. I love this look of Mothra. And as far as the figure is concerned, this is a great figure. It's kind of like a reissue of sorts, because I think it's based off the 64. They just, you know, made it more furry. They simulate the fur on the figure. It's brightly painted, you know, it's painted more brightly, you know, in terms of the colors. The colors pop out more than on the 64. The base here is really, really cool. You get the best of both worlds because it's a dual base. On the front of the base, you have her iconic symbol. On the back of the base, you have her a partially buried egg, which look really, really good. This is a cool package from Mothra to the base and everything. But again, this film ain't up there with me, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, there are some things I enjoy about the film, quite frankly. Again, I love the Mothra song, I love the look of Mothra, I love the three-way dance between Batra, Godzilla, and Mothra in the film. So there are a few things I love about this film, quite frankly. I know some people don't really like this film because of the simple fact that this is one of the films, as I talked about earlier, where I felt Mothra was really overexposed. Because again, the movie is called Godzilla vs. Mothra. Godzilla is the one that's taking top billing, but in this film, Godzilla kind of comes across as a secondary character. You know what I mean? Which is, you know what, now that I think about it, when you think about Mothra versus Godzilla and Godzilla versus Mothra, in Mothra vs. Godzilla, Mothra takes top billing, but when you think about it, Godzilla is the star of that film, right? And here we are, 28 years later, in Godzilla vs. Mothra, Godzilla takes top billing, but yet Mothra is the star of that film. So it's kind of like it's kind of inverted if you really think about it. You know what I mean? But I know a lot of folks don't really like that the fact that Godzilla does come across as a secondary character in his own film. But again, I think this film really serves more as a Mothra film. If you look at it from that perspective, I think it's a cool film. And I think this was the film that really got Toho wanted to make a spin-off series involving Mothra. And that's exactly what we got. When Godzilla died in 95, you know, they came forth with the Mothra trilogy, you know, whatever. But again, this is a cool design of Mothra, again, with the base, with the just the brightly colors of Mothra. Really cool figure, and it's one of the best figures that came out last year, the year of 2021. Yes. So that's why she belongs in this spot in number 2. The X plus 25 centimeter standard edition of Mothra 1992 from Godzilla versus Mothra, not Godzilla and Mothra. So again, we're in spot number 2. So there's only one more. There's only one more. I think you know who it is. You know, I talked glowingly about this figure in the past before. But in case you don't know, let's go in spot number 1 right now. So my most favorite adult Mothra collectible in my collection is this girl right here. Was there any doubt? Really? Was there any doubt who was going to be number 1 in this spot? Oh my God, this thing is amazing and is my favorite Mothra collectible in my collection, and it's at the top of this ranking. Yes. Here we are. Not S+, but we have the Mondo limited edition of Mothra 2003 from Godzilla X Mothra X Mechagodzilla Tokyo SOS. Woo! This thing is so amazing. Even to this day, this thing was so amazing. Now, again, this is from Mondo, and up until this release, I did not order anything from Mondo because I heard about some horror stories involving Mondo in terms of their shipping practices and the way they ship figures, how a few of their figures have arrived damaged, you know, with the Pulgasari and a few other things. And plus, I wasn't really too impressed with the Mondo 89 statue that came out last year. So I was really on the fence about getting this version of Mothra, but it looked so good. I was like, you know what, I'm going to take a chance with Mondo. And if this ends up being a good thing, then I will more likely get more business from them. As you can see, I got the Mondo Godzilla Hanna-Barbera statue, which will be up for review real soon, probably after this video, quite frankly. So I was really on the fence about getting the Mothra from Mondo, but I was like, you know what, I'll take a chance. If they impress me, then they'll gain a new customer. If not, then it's one of those misfires that I think we all as collectors go through. But this version of Mothra is so amazing. It's so beautiful. If you thought the 92 Mothra was beautiful, this manages to take it a step further with the beautiful look of Mothra, as well as the babies here, the twins with the with the dual eggs, the fully intact egg, and the egg with the Mothra twins that come out of it. You know, at the back of the base, you have a wood carving of the fairies. This was a cool package. Again, if you thought the 92 package was cool with Mothra and the dual base with the egg and the symbol and blah blah blah. Again, this version of Mothra from Mondo takes a step further. And kind of like Mothra 92 in the previous spot, this film, Godzilla X Mothra X Mechagodzilla Tokyo SOS, isn't up there with me either. I had this conversation with Gojira 851 a few years ago, and I still feel the same way. That even though it's a cool film and I've seen it, ever since then, ever since I try to watch it again, I fall asleep. This film does not really get me. It doesn't really captivate me at all, quite frankly. But the design of Mothra, I love. I so love the design of Mothra. Where I talked about that my favorite character version of Mothra is from '64. But overall, my favorite design of Mothra is from this film. In fact, I think the Millennium versions of Mothra look really cool, and probably the best looking versions of Mothra that we've ever seen from GMK, from Tokyo SOS. And I think this is the same Mothra prop they used in the following final film of the Millennium series, Final Wars. But this look of Mothra right here, I really enjoy, even though the movie's not up there with me. But again, it's all about the collectibles. It's more so about the collectible side of things, which is why my ranking is the way it is. So again, from the 66 to 61 to MonsterVerse to GMK to 64 to 92, and now we have the cream of the crop, the best of the best, in my opinion. My most favorite Mothra collectible in my collection, the one and only Mondo Mothra 2003. And that's my ranking. And you know what? When you have all these monsters together, they all are cool in their own unique way. So you may agree with this list, you may not agree with this list. If you see the GMK as your favorite, there's nothing wrong with that. If you see the MonsterVerse as your favorite, there's nothing wrong with that. The original 64 or any other monster collectible that's out there. Because I think every version of Mothra is really, really beautiful. They're awesome and they deserve a spot on your shelf. Yes, 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 and no doubt about it. And again, I feel really bad I didn't really cover Mothra at all during her 60-year anniversary last year. But again, it's better late than never. So hopefully I did a good job of honoring the Queen of the Monsters in her various awesome incarnations throughout the years. Yes, yes, yes. So again, this has been really, really fun. It's really been a fun ranking. And why don't you let me know in the comment section, what is your favorite Mothra incarnation? What's your favorite Mothra moment? What is your favorite Mothra movie? Let's have some conversations about the awesome Queen of the Monsters. Yes, yes, yes. And again, be on the lookout for the Hanna-Barbera Mondo Museum statue review coming real soon. Again, that more likely will be the next video in this in my series of videos, quite frankly. So this should be that I can't wait to review that because that thing looks amazing. And again, like that one, Mondo is killing it, and I can't wait to see what Mondo may have cooking for us down the pipeline. But I'm definitely gonna be interested. But again, the various versions of Mothra are awesome. They're all awesome. So why not today? Why don't you pop in your favorite Mothra movie and have a good time again with the Queen of the Monsters? But at the end of the day, this is my ranking. So I thank you so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. And again, I will see y'all again on this Figure Move review. All right? Y'all take it easy.
hamba muyang landa banguradan tonjukanlah kasakuyam mosulaya mosula dongang kasakuyam indomu lusto wilado hamba muyang landa banguradan tonjukanlah Visto